What if your trading strategy was actually costing you money? Ladies and gentlemen, fellow traders, welcome to the live show on Thursday. It's good to have you back. Good to have you here. 14th of August already. It's almost September. Can you believe it? Don't forget the risk. Most traders lose money. We all know that. Starting the show a little bit early so that everyone can get on board and everyone can drop in and say hello. Let me make sure I've got everything that we need here in the right place. Bruman was already here. It looks like he can't make it today, but he has said, go and have a look at the crypto and go and buy as much as you want. You're going to make loads of money. So yeah, he's left a message for you there. How's it, Towel? Good to see you. Yeah, so crypto has moved. It's actually gone in quite a ridiculous move. A lot to do with what's being said and what's happening. Interest rates moving the markets. Everybody's getting excited about interest rates and the fundamentals of the interest rates and that sort of thing. My Brent crude oil trade and my United States dollar against the South African rand, not just on this platform, on many of my platforms, is in drawdown. And that's not serious. It's not really bad. We're talking like really low amounts, but it is in drawdown. Am I concerned? No, because fundamentally I believe that both of these should make us a lot of money somewhere down the line. And I don't think it will continue on that trajectory because, for example, the South African rand should be really weak at the moment, should be falling off the bus if I look at the economy. And it just seems to be holding on for whatever reason. I don't know what belief people have got, but I believe this is more to do with the US dollar than it is to do with the South African rand, the way it's moving. Brent crude oil as well, fundamentally, in my humble opinion, I believe that Brent crude oil the price should be higher. It normally is. And in all the years that I've been trading, Brent crude oil has never failed to disappoint when trading between 65 and 105 bucks. So at the end of the day, somewhere down the line, it should go the other way. The reason I'm looking for long trades and not short trades on Brent crude oil is the risk to reward. I'm looking at, and unless something really serious happens in the world, I just can't see oil going down to 50 or 40 bucks. I can only see it going back up to the 70s and 80s right now and hanging around in the area that it's supposed to be in. So if you're patient and you've got the time to sit on your hands, then for me, that's a reasonably good long trade. Hi, Blue Mango, and everyone else who's here. By the way, yes, it is a bit early. We're a few minutes early, so there's only a few people on board at the moment as we stand. There's still going to be a lot more to come as we go. So as you know, charts cannot predict the market, and nothing I say here actually constitutes financial advice. So I'm not giving anybody financial advice here. I'm just here to tell you what I've done in the past and all the mistakes that I've made and all the things that I've done that maybe you can learn from it. Maybe you can sort of skip over those things that have annoyed me in the past or caught me out. It's a long learning curve, let me tell you. 33 years of trading is a long time. And just the other day, someone commented, 40 years of trading. Like, I finally met someone that's actually been trading longer than I have. That's still alive, of course. 40 years, I tell you what. So like I said to him in the comment, he must have remembered the time as well when we had the dial-up phone and we didn't have internet. We didn't have computers. In fact, we didn't even have basic computers with no internet. We only had the telephone and the newspaper. You know, I used to go and buy the newspaper in the morning, and I used to go and buy the newspaper in the afternoon. Because you got the morning session and you got the afternoon session. And in the middle of the newspaper, they gave you all the share prices. You know, you had the financial part, and it had every single share price in there. And I used to sit there with my pencil and ruler and go through all those share prices in their different sections, split up into their areas. And yeah, those were the days. Trading wasn't as simple as it is now, wasn't as quick as it is now, wasn't as easy as it is now. Let me tell you something. That was a different world we lived in. But that's where strategies were born. That's where we learned to put strategies in place. That's where we learned to add a strategy in so that we could actually make some money in the market. And you'll see the title of the video today is, what if your trading strategy is actually costing you money? And my opinion of that title is, and the reason I've put it there is to say to you, but what if you don't have any strategy at all? Because if you don't have any strategy at all, that is going to be costing you money. And having no strategy is a strategy. Your strategy is to have no strategy. So therefore, that's your strategy. And then you're going to make losses because you don't know how you're making your money. You don't even know what you need to do to make money. You have no plan as to what size your account's going to be on a regular basis. How many accounts are you going to have? What time frames are you going to trade on? There's so many questions that you need to ask yourself. Now, one of the big things that happens is we go into that never-ending cycle of doom, particularly on the systems. So we're trading on a system, and we've got this wonderful system that we're trading on, and we look at that system and we think, well, this is what's going to work for me. I'm going to use price action, I'm going to use trend lines, and I'm going to use this support and resistance system to trade my trades. You might be using Ichimoku, MACD, moving average cross, whatever. Doesn't matter. You choose a system, and then you lose a few trades and you lose confidence in your system, and you might blame your strategy. You might, whatever your strategy is, maybe your strategy is to scalp, or maybe your strategy is like ours, to have a position, or whatever the case. So you lose sight of what you're doing because you take a few losses. And it knocks your confidence, because it really does knock your confidence when you take a few losses. And I always say to people, if you take a few losses, just take a step back, come back, and carry on trading on the same system and the same strategy. I believe the only time that you should give up on your strategy, which is not your system, your strategy, is when you just realize that over a long period of time, that it's actually costing you money and it's not working in any way whatsoever, and it's not working for anyone. Then you can determine that that's not working for you and try and tweak it, change it, look for something else. But if it's working or it's not working, then you need to determine if there's a gray area in between. If it works for a while and then it stops working and then it starts working again, then it's you. Then there's something you're doing wrong. It either works or it doesn't work. So I've always said that this never-ending cycle of doom, going in there and changing your system, changing your strategy every 5 minutes and looking for something else to do, can be quite, I don't know, daunting, let's say. Systems are the big one. People tend to change systems on a regular basis. They move from the moving average crossover to the MACD, to the RSI, to the Ichimoku, to the Fibonacci, to this, to that. And that tends to work on people's psyche, changing that system every 2 minutes to try and look for that golden nugget in the market. There's got to be something out there that's going to make money for me. There's got to be that golden nugget. Somebody out there is doing it, so I've got to go and find it. What you end up doing is you end up moving from this quadrant to the next quadrant, and you try it there, and then you start losing a few, and then you go to the next quadrant, and you try something else, and you start losing a few, and you go to the next quadrant, and you keep repeating the sequence. Sometimes you end up back where you started. Sometimes you just end up in the forest, completely lost, in a tangent where you don't even know where you are. Be careful of that. Be careful of that never-ending cycle of doom. Let me say hello to everyone. Blue Mango's here, Nick's here, Shane, how's it? Hi, Ramfort, hi, Henny. Good to see you, good to have you on board, and it's good to have the A-team here and everybody together watching me do all the chatting. Guys, have fun, enjoy it. Don't leave your do leave your comments, chat with each other, and have a bit of fun on this live show. This live show is not here for me to put little 5-minute charts up and boast about my little trades and tell you how much money I've made or lost. this live show is to try and give you a little bit of insight, a little bit of education in the markets, and a little bit of help. There's so many live shows out there where actually the host doesn't even chat much, and there's just these charts going up and down, moving around all the time, bouncing about, and not really teaching you much except, look at me, I took a trade and I made $200. Look how great I am. Guys, I have no disrespect for anyone. As far as I'm concerned, everybody's got something to offer you, like I've always said. But I just say that, what's the point of that at the end of the day? But it seems to be very popular. It does seem to be very popular. People watching little charts go up and down. And, you're not really learning much from that. Some of those charts are insanely complicated. I've seen some complicated charts out there, man, and some complicated systems. I've seen some of the most complicated systems on the planet on some of these charts out there. I'm actually quite shocked in many cases. So anyway, our Euro Great British Pound trade played out really well. Clearly, it hit the support. Seems to be turning around on the support. Don't you think we should maybe, just maybe, just be looking at this and thinking, should we put something in place just to see if this turns the other way again, just like we did to the downside? So what I'm thinking is, let's put a little trend line in here and let's just see if it breaks it to the upside. Maybe we can get a long trade on the other way around. So that's swing trading for you. Take it short, take it long. So yeah, that might be something to look at. So I'll keep an eye on that as well. Observational learning. Yes, absolutely. Observational learning. I see that. In some cases, you can do that, but I don't know. In many cases, it's interesting. In most of the cases, the guys are just sort of boasting about how much money they can make and that sort of thing. But there are one or two guys out there that will show you how to trade. Right, so United States dollar, Canadian dollar. What's happening with that? Yes, does seem to be in an interesting spot. But you know, as I've always told you guys, the market's alive. You need to move these lines. You can't just leave them in one place. You need to move them, because the 3 touch points constitutes a trend, or a sort of support, or a resistance, or a trend resistance, or a trend support. And here you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's about 5 or 6 on this line. So that's a strong line. So you can move it out. It's alive. You can move it out, and that's your new level. So this is actually not going long. It's still short. And if it was going long, your risk to reward here would be very, very poor. Your reward would be that short piece there, and your risk would be that long piece down there. It's the wrong way around. You'd rather be short on this, looking for the reward to the downside. How's it, David? Good to see you again. Absolutely wonderful to see the old boys here, see the guys coming back. I miss Kevin. Kevin's missing. Maybe he's given up on trading, or he's watching some other dude's videos. I don't know. I mean, there are plenty of people on YouTube, aren't there? Oh. Last I heard, about 2 million. I don't know. There's lots of people out there. Lots of things going on. Right. If you want to get a message across, good place. Good place to do it. So Ethereum. Get my tongue around this. Ethereum. So I made some money on Ethereum. That was great. Wonderful stuff. Now I'm looking at this. Now I know Bruman left a message at the beginning here. You can see his message on the top there before I started the video. Go look at the crypto. But I would say with Ethereum, I expect it will get to around 5,000. But I would think that I would wait for it to come back before buying it here again. We sold out of it and made a profit, not on this account, on my main account. But I'll wait for a new entry, maybe get in on that. But then there's BTC as well, which is coming back nicely. So this one will be a good indicator as to when it's turning around. So if this comes all the way back down to the 120 and gives you a green candle going up, then you might have a pretty good long trade on Ethereum and Bitcoin. And then if you look at that, line there, that also gives you a good signal. And it is bullish at the moment. It is very bullish. So that looks quite nice. So you can look at Bitcoin, follow that, and you can follow the Ethereum as well and see if you can get a nice trade out of these products. They look pretty good. I'm not a big crypto guy, as you know. Not a big fan of crypto in the slightest. In fact, I wouldn't invest your money in crypto because I believe it's built on fresh air. I don't believe it's built on anything, any foundation. It's got any asset value or anything like that. In fact, I don't even know who started it, who owns it. That oak is hiding somewhere. So for me, it's just become a situation now of it's too big to fail. You know, whereas in the beginning, I knew it, to me, it seemed like a Ponzi scheme. It seemed like something built on fresh air that didn't exist. And everybody was getting everyone to get involved in it. And I firmly believed that it was going to fall over pretty soon and crash, which it didn't. I was proven wrong, and it survived. Now, these things happen. That's trading. And it's grown to the point now where big financial institutions have taken it on and created exchange-traded funds for it, and everybody can trade into crypto. Mainly Bitcoin, but then Ethereum and those types of things as well. There's a few. And it's become a very popular thing. But I think in most cases, this type of currency situation or this type of network is becoming too big to fail now, and you can now start playing around with it in the sense that even the governments are starting to climb in and try to regulate it, and they're trying to get taxes off of it. So it's becoming a currency of sorts, and I guess the asset value is going to be tied to something eventually. At the moment, it's basically based on a willing seller and a willing buyer, which is two human beings that are making the price. The price is not based on any asset value. It's based on two people deciding on the price. That makes it difficult to compute, but that's not to say it can't still crash down and disappear. Because, I mean, remember when they discovered Bernie Madoff? He made off with the money. When he had that, was it the 17th floor on his building that just had these old computers where he was just scamming everybody's money. And think about that. I mean, this guy was on the exchange. He was on the board. He was like the dude. Everyone trusted him. And everybody thought that Enron could never go down. It was the biggest thing since sliced bread. And one day it's there and the next day it's gone. And do you know how they caught up to him? The financial crisis of, I think it was the 2008 crisis that caught up to him when they couldn't pay the investors out. But yeah, there you go. There you go. So you've always got to be careful of those things. My prediction, BTC 127,586. 127,586, an interesting prediction there, Shane. Okay. 127,586, somewhere up here, which is, yeah, okay, if you follow that line up, if it goes all the way, wonderful. The lovely thing about the markets, whether it be crypto, Forex, whatever the case, the lovely thing about the markets is charts don't have a predictive capability, and neither do we. We can't predict where this is going to go. We can only surmise. We can only sort of have a look at these charts and say, do you know what? I think it's going to go there because I've seen all this before. And yeah, that's anything we can do with it. Because human beings are creatures of habit. That's why we look at charts in the first place. Why do we look at charts? We look at charts because human beings are creatures of habit. That said, you know, when we talked about interest rates moving the markets, that human beings being creatures of habit thing sort of plays out quite big. It shines because I remember when I hung my hat on the news and I was waiting for that interest rate cut so that I could trade into the future because of that interest rate cut that the Fed made in America or whatever the case. It doesn't happen here, but it happens there. And It changes everything. And I'd be sitting on my hat, waiting for this to happen. And then I'd trade into it and it's time to buy because they cut the interest rates. And then 10 minutes later, everything sort of comes back to where it was. And that's quite disappointing. But the whole point of that is that creatures of habit, that human beings do that every single time. Every single time there's an increase in interest rates, every single time there's a decrease in interest rates. Human beings do the same thing over and over again. And that's why you can actually make money off of these things, because if you know exactly what those human beings are going to do, if they don't change their mind, which they do sometimes, but if they don't change their mind and they do the same thing and you catch it right, you can make money out of that sort of scenario. Why do interest rates count in people's mind, in economists' minds? Is because if the interest rate is cut, then everybody believes there's going to be more money for businesses in the market. And also, businesses have a lot of debt. So those businesses that have that debt will now have to repay less on that debt. So they should have more income, more money in the bank, so on. And, it's all to do with forward price to earnings and that sort of thing. So that all makes sense when you're talking about shares and companies and that sort of trade. So that's why interest rates make a big difference to the markets at the end of the day for economists. But the bigger picture still remains the same, because at the end of the day, if a company releases its results today, it's not going to change because the interest rate changed today. It's only going to change in the future. And people buy shares based on the price that they're going to achieve in the future. Like, look at yourself. If you buy something now, you're not buying it for now because you pay $75 now. You're hoping that if you buy it long, it's going to be 80. Whether it be in the next 5 minutes or the next 5 years, you're hoping it's going to go to the next price so that you can make a profit. It's forward earnings. That's what we all look for. But human beings, being creatures of habit, tend to do the same things over and over again. And if you can pick up on that, then you can't start picking up where the money is and how to make that money. But here's the big thing. For example, BTC, Henny agrees that also thought that Bitcoin's not going to go anywhere, that it was built on fresh air. The trouble is, it could still be built on fresh air. It could still be built on nothing. Many people have tried to explain how blockchain technology works, but if I can't hold it in my hands, then how can I prove that it exists? This is a bit of a quandary that human beings have faced all through time, with all kinds of things like religion, whatever the case. How do you prove these things? You just have to have faith. But when it comes to finance, you can't just have faith in the fact that it exists if it doesn't exist. So, for example, if I go here and I say, I'm going to buy gold against the United States dollar, both of which of these little things I can hold in my hand if I want to. I can hold a piece of gold, I can hold a dollar, and I can equate the asset value to either one of these two products. Same for Brent crude oil. Brent crude oil, I look at Brent crude oil, I can put an asset value to it. I can say I can buy a barrel of oil and it's worth this much, and that's it. End of story. I know what Brent crude oil is worth. The S&P 500 is made up of companies and shares that have got asset value. The United States dollar against the South African rand has got one country's value against another's, which creates an exchange rate, a Forex, as we know it. But crypto, what can you hold in your hand with crypto? What value have you got with crypto? This is a willing buyer, willing seller market. There's nothing to hold. Until today, there's still nothing to hold on to. Fantastic tradable product. Made me some money over the weekend. Fantastic. Love it. It's great. It's tradable. I'll trade orange peels if they're tradable. Will I invest in it and leave all my wealth in something like this in the hopes that it will grow in the future? I'm not that guy. I would rather take the same money which I do, and have it in shares. And I know that all of those shares belong to different companies, and those companies have growth, they have CEOs, they have boards of directors, they have products, and those companies grow over time, they grow wealth. Companies like Amazon, Coca-Cola, Nvidia, Apple, all of them, they've got some form of growth or loss or asset value, whatever the case. So that's something you can invest in, something you know it's tangible. You can even go and visit the company if you want to, if you've got enough shares or whatever the case. You can get information on their financials, and you can even find out what they're planning to do next year to make more money. You can't do that with crypto. You can't. So while I love it as a tradable product and it's nice and volatile, it's as good as trading the volatility index. The volatility index has got no asset value. It's just based on the market and whether the market's going to go up or down. It's a tradable asset. Can you hold it and make money out of it in the future? I don't know. Could be gone tomorrow. They can take it away. It's a product that they can remove. So I still feel the same way about crypto. I haven't changed my point of view. I just have come to the realization that everybody loves it. It's too big to fail. And I just won't leave lots of money in it for a long period of time. Then I'll be comfortable. That's how I feel about it. Okay, I'd rather be a bank where all of your bad investment trades are made whole again by the taxpayers. Well said, Nick. Yeah, the taxpayers. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, yeah, it's a difficult one. You see, that's another one where I have an opinion. I have an opinion that people in a country shouldn't have to pay tax. I have an opinion on that as well. I don't believe that taxing the individual is a necessity. It's kind of like, I don't know how I'm going to explain this, but if you have a country and it has a monetary system, it makes money, it creates a finite amount of money, not an infinite amount of money. It creates a finite amount of money, which it now dishes out. It dishes out to all the people in the country for business, right? So that they can trade with it. So everybody gets this money that they can now trade with. Now I get the bit where the farmer creates a product and then that product gets taxed, and so the government gets some part of the profit that's made from something that grows from nothing and so on. But the actual money itself is effectively you give it to the person and then you take some back. It doesn't really make a lot of sense when you start drilling down into it. It's going to be very difficult for me to explain this to you right here and now, but it's complicated. You see, money's not made from the individual in the street. Money's not made from the guy who goes to work every day, from his tax. That's not where the money's made. The money's made from exports, production, dealing with other countries, running the country as a business. That's where the money's made. So you don't really need to tax the individual. You could just give him less money, or you could just let him run with that money and spend it in the market. It gets very complicated. Just sit down and think about this. Just sit down and work it out for yourself. Because the money that you get from your, whichever way you make it, you get that money, and then they tell you must pay tax on it. Kind of weird, don't you think, when it's basically come from that system and then you just give some back to that system? How is that system? It doesn't have more money. It has a finite amount of money that it starts with. Then it gives you all that money, and then it takes some back. That the amount doesn't grow. It doesn't get bigger. It stays the same. The money stays the same. Interesting, isn't it? So it's all a farce at the end of the day. And I've got a lot to say on that as well. But my opinion of it is, at the end of the day, the money's not made by taxing the individual in the street. Proof in the pudding. Just go and have a look at how Dubai is run, or just go and have a look at how Monaco is run. There's no tax there, no personal tax, yet they tend to survive pretty well. They tend to do pretty good. You only have to ask the question why that is. Interesting, eh? So, let's go through a few comments, shall we? How's it, Daniel? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. No tax. Now you're talking. But you know, Blue Mango, that's what I'm just trying to say is nobody should be taxed. It's tax is an irrelevant thing to the government. You know, everybody thinks it's where the money comes from, but it doesn't really. That's not where you know. Here's another problem that governments have is they'll just make more money. Then they make more money and then the economy goes down the toilet and they wonder why. It's because you thinned the things out, because you thinned the asset value out. So that's why it goes a little bit pear-shaped. We don't tell the tax thieves our plans. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Yeah, they have their own wealth. Only actual gold and silver or valuable metals have intrinsic value. Everything else has perceived value. Value we people place on it. Example, oil. Well, Shane, oil is just like gold or silver or any other product. Companies have value because of what's in the companies. So when we talk about perceived value, there's a fine line there as well, Daniel, because perceived value, gold has got a perceived value, oil has got a perceived value, but it's tangible though. It's something you can hold, something you can work with, or a company has value because it's something you can work with. So there is some value there. Whereas crypto is just, it's made up of two human beings perceiving a value, making up a value. No, but Shane, that's the whole point I'm making when you say Saudi makes so much money on oil that they don't need personal tax. No country in the world needs personal tax. You see, this is the point I'm making. Every country in the world makes a finite amount of money, which they give out to the country to use. That finite amount of money is not going to grow within the country. It's not going to get bigger within the country. The money's made by, for example, Saudi Arabia is a good example, by selling oil to other countries. So they sell the oil to other countries. So the exports need to be taxed. You know, that's where the money's made. I've sold product from my country to that country, and I've sold it for X amount of money that's coming back into my country, just like any other business. So that's a good example of that. If, for example, Saudi Arabia did not sell oil to any other country and did not sell anything to any other country, they were just internal, and everybody just lived in Saudi Arabia and made money. How does that country survive on people paying tax? It can't, because it makes 100 billion whatevers, it gives them to the people, and it remains 100 billion whatevers. All you can do is have the people within that country run the country, keep it working, and use the monetary system to pay those people for keeping the money, the country running, and that basically that money can go and buy them accommodation, food, luxuries, etc. You don't need to tax them. You don't need to tax them at all. You just need to get them to do something for the country. That's what you need. You need them to build buildings and cars and make food and whatnot so that everybody can survive. It's a way of swapping. It's a way of trading. But you don't need to tax them. You could just keep enough back for the country to run, or whatever the case. You're paying people to do work for you. That's what you're doing. Countries make profits on, say, selling oil to other countries. Finite money would be nice, but the government runs on infinite money, so they can greatly reward certain factions. There's always someone getting a bit extra, eh? I wish my dad knew about the stock market and had some investments. He has got nothing, only what our welfare system has given him. Walt, I hope you don't live in South Africa because the welfare system is insane. You get nothing. I really need to start something so that old people can survive in this country. I just can't stand the fact that old people are just trampled on in this country. They don't get anything. I think I've told you guys in one of the other live shows, they literally get 2,000 Rand. And if they've got more than 7,000 Rand in their bank account or they own something, they get nothing. They're not allowed to. They actually have to pay back because they feel that they stole the money off the system. 2,000 Rand. It's like $100 a month. Okay. They can't rent a room. They can't pay for food. I mean, how do they survive? It's insane. I don't know. Something needs to be done. It's crazy. So, some countries are a lot better. Some countries, I know Australia, England, those types of countries give their old people at least survivable money or money they can buy food with, whatever, and some accommodation, whatnot. But in South Africa, they starve them to death. I heard a story the other day of old people. They're making them go back. Old people, 70, 80 years old. They're making them go back to we call it SASSA here. It's a place where they give people their pension. And they have to go there and stand in a long line outside in the freezing cold, 80 years old, okay, and go and do paperwork or whatever the case. And then now they're making them redo the paperwork or there's some new conditions. I'm not sure what they are. And they have to go there and they have to sort all this out. And there was one person saying the other day that they went there, him and the wife, and they went there to sort this out. And then they said, nah, but this is not good enough. You're going to have to come back again. And if you don't come back again in 30 days, then we're going to stop paying you. And not only that, they said, but the system can't even get it done for them in the 30 days. And worse than that, these poor people, effectively, they're telling them that because some friends paid money into their bank account, some friends helped them. And that money's showing in their bank account that they can't have the pension because they got more money than they should have in their bank account. That's insane. That's crazy. That's crazy. In other words, if you've got 10,000 Rand in your bank account, which is, I don't know, it's about $500, $700, something like that, okay? Then you can't have any pension. Do you know you cannot survive on 10,000 Rand? You cannot survive on that for a month. You can't even pay rent. The smallest rents are about 15,000. So how do these people survive on 2,000 a month? I'm ranting on now, but gee whiz. Sywald, whatever you do, just buy shares, invest in those shares, keep putting as much money as you can in every single month. When you're 60, you're going to be so rich, you're going to laugh at Warren Buffett, okay? Don't just remember what Rob said, okay? When you my age, just remember what I said, and you'll think back on me. I'll be gone, probably long gone, but you'll think back on it, and you'll be happy. You'll be so happy. Invest in it now, and you'll be happy later. I'll tell you what. But that's exactly the point, Shane, when you say here, America never taxed individuals in the beginning, they got their money from tariffs. That's exactly how it works. That's the point I'm making. You do not need to tax an individual. You get your money from trade deals. That's how the money comes into the country. There's money moving around in the country and it's paying people and it's keeping the country running, but you don't need to tax them. You just need to pay them to keep them working. Exactly what Daniel says. What is money? People are money. We are the people, the real currency of everything. We pay each other in some way or the other after all. So it's a way of trading. Before money, we would trade. I would say, I'll give you a banana if you give me an orange. And that was a fair deal. That's how it works. That's what trading is about. That's what we do with shares. I'll buy it for that price. If you sell it for that price, that's what trading is all about. So we invented money to make things a little bit easier. And somehow or another, it ended up in this mishmash of like governments ripping people off and taxes and people, living the best life for nothing. And yeah. Sadly, older people don't want to learn new skills like trading. I find a lot of older people, Daniel, my age and older, and sometimes even younger. Met some people that are younger than me that I think are like 20 years older than me just by looking at them. But anyway, that's just my attitude to life. I've always believed that I'm 21 and I don't know when I'm going to turn 22. But yeah, I get it. People just don't want to follow technology. I sometimes wish my own dad had been around longer. I mean, he died when he was my age, unfortunately for him. But he loved the technology that was available at the time, and he would always go out and buy the latest things. I remember in those days it was the VHS machine or the cameras and the TVs and stuff like that. He would always go and buy the newest and latest thing that you could find. He loved it. If he'd been around today, he would have been lapping it up. But there's so many people out there that just don't want to stay in touch, that don't want to keep up, and they just fall behind. And I've got friends that come to me and say, "Can you show me how to do this on the phone?" I mean, I don't mind, but come on, figure it out. Start doing better. You know what I mean? Stay in touch. Don't lose touch, because if you lose touch, if you fall behind, you get left behind. So, like the future of money is digital currency. It's going to be a digital currency, whether it's a crypto or whether it's the US dollar and digital currency. They're doing away with cash. If you don't believe me, just look around you. They're taking away the ATMs. The banks have declared they're not going to have ATMs anymore. So cash is going to become a thing of the past. You're not going to have cash anymore. You're already paying for things with your watch, your cell phone, etc., not even using a card. So cash is going to be gone. And for those people who still operate on cash, who cannot do online banking and that sort of thing, and there are people out there like that, they are going to be in big, big, big trouble. How are they going to survive? And this is a big issue, Daniel. I agree with you. There's so many old people that just don't want to learn. They don't want to keep up. PPI dumping like a rock. Okay. Core PPI. So I want to learn trading, and I have been trying different strategies and back tested, and I've been falling a loop. What should I learn and start trading? So, great question. I want to learn trading. And my obvious answer to all of you guys that ask me this question is I must have a good couple of hundred videos for you to watch. Please go and watch them. Watch them and watch them closely. If you know nothing about trading, go and watch my videos. Go and go through them and go and learn. You'll learn something, promise you. And of course, join us on the live shows every Tuesday and Thursday and ask the specific questions, and I'll give you some specific answers if I can, without a problem. But yeah, where should you start? The best thing to start is just start. Get a demo. You can get a demo, download TradingView, get a demo, or get a demo account with IG or one of these companies or whatever the case. Get a demo and start doing the demos and start following all the videos that we've got for you, right? Start playing around with the systems. Go and watch my videos. Go and learn that there's a difference between a system and a strategy. There's a lot to learn, but you've got to start somewhere. Start on a demo, learn how to trade. Most of my videos will show you how to trade, and you'll learn that pretty quickly. And then learn the strategy, and you'll learn that pretty quickly. Learn how to do it on a demo. Follow the videos closely. Join us for the live shows every week, and you'll eventually pick up on it. I don't give a course at the moment. I have thought about building up a free course for all you guys, but I don't know where to start. So I'll think about it and see what I can do, and then I'll put a range of videos together for you that will be available on YouTube maybe someday, that you guys can just go and watch in that grouping or something. I don't know. I'll think of something. But yeah, that question, like, I want to start trading, is the only way I could answer it is probably with a proper range of courses. But go and watch my videos and go and figure it out. That'll be your best bet. ETH made me a fortune the other day, Shane. I was actually quite pleased, but don't get caught up in it, eh? Don't get caught up in it, because it's had a good run. It could just turn around and bite you. Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what? This account was doing quite well the other day. It was on 25.5, but yeah, I'm just playing around with it, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, you need to make 2.5 grand for it to go up, or whatever the case. I've got another account that's instant payout. That's $100,000 account as well. Then I've got my cash accounts, so I'm okay with that. But sometimes I miss a trade here because I'm looking somewhere else. For example, like often on a Monday or a Wednesday when I haven't got this open because I'm not doing the live show with you guys, then I'll have my other accounts open. I'll trade there, and then I won't trade here. So then I'll miss this trade. But it's okay. I'm not worried about these getting approved or anything like that. They're just funded accounts. Okay. Is the next role you are telling the truth there. My dad probably shouldn't start now. He's in his late 70s, trying to get my sister on board, but they struggle to save. In fact, she borrows from me from time to time. I think your sister, you need to get her on board with investing. What a lot of people can't get their mind around, what I find, Tywell, is trying to explain to someone that's 20 or 30 years old or 40 years old even, listen, you need to put money into shares and you're not going to get anything back tomorrow. In fact, they might even go down tomorrow, and you're not going to see anything happening for the next couple of years. And in fact, you're only really going to see a bit of an advantage after maybe 10 years, and then 20 years, and then real success after 30 years. People can't get their heads around that. That is really difficult. I don't blame them. I couldn't. I was told when I was 20 years old to do it. 20 years old, they said to me, Rob, go and put money in there and just keep putting money in there and it'll be worth something one day. I was like, are you nuts? I want to go down the pub, man. Are you crazy? Go and hang out with my mates. It's very difficult. And it took me years and years and years and years before I realized that I needed to do that. And unfortunately for me, I only had the aha moment when I was about 14. I mean, I started working for myself when I was 27, but I never realized that you needed to do that. People told me, but I didn't listen. So now, instead of being 30 years in, I'm only 20 years in when it comes to investing. Good enough. It's big time, but it could have been much bigger. Good news is, when I reach 70, I won't know what to do with the amount of money that I've got. But yeah, I'm a few years behind because of that, because I've been trading all my life, because I've been doing these things all my life, but I never thought about the time in the market thing. It takes many years for you. That's why I say to you guys, I'm not here to boast to you guys or tell you I'm better than you or done this or done that. I'm here to show you the mistakes that I made that you don't have to make. Because if you don't have to make them, you can do that much better. In other words, yourself, Tywald, when you're my age, you would have had 30 years of investing instead of 20, and you'll be that much better off. Those first 10, 12, 13 years, I can tell you, I traded, I made money, but I took it out and I had money in shares, and I sold them, and I used the money, and I made all those classic mistakes. And I should have just did what I did now for the last 20 years, just left the money in there and not touched it. I actually stopped trading shares, and I just started buying them and leaving the money there forever. And that made all the difference. That made all the difference. That's a huge, huge, huge difference. Then suddenly everything starts growing. But if only you knew that, if only someone told you. Uh, yeah. Thorold, you can never leave people behind. Where I can, especially with family, gotta help, dude. Gotta help. You gotta don't. You'll never forgive yourself, and never leave a friend or a family member on a bad note. Just my 50 cents worth. Always leave with a good heart. Give it. You'll feel much better. Promise you'll feel better. Give it where you can, and then don't take. Give. I know you're young, but give. You'll feel better in the long run, and you'll get a lot back for it in the long run as well. Help them where you can. Do what you can for them, and not everybody's got that same entrepreneurial asset value in them or has got that ability. So you need to give a lot. Sometimes there's people in the family that pull everybody else along, and you might just be that person. Okay. So whatever you do, don't draw the line. You'll never forgive yourself. I mean, to be frank with you, I actually, how many times in my life have I wished I had my dad back or my mum back or something like that? Really think about it. Okay. Okay. I just shorted ETH. Wow. Well, it's a biggie. It's a biggie. But I mean, if you look at it, Shane, if you look at it, BTH, we were looking at it earlier. Look at that. Look at that move. Okay. That's serious, eh? That's serious. It's going short, eh? It's going short. Look, all the sellers have come back in here. So that's a bit of a worry on BTH. But yeah, it looks like it wants to go short now. Sure does. So like I said to you guys earlier, ETH looks like a fine buy going up to 5,000, but wait for it to come back and grab it down here. Grab it down at these lower levels. So Shane might have a good short in his hand, but there is a lot of sellers coming back into the market. So I hope you grabbed it at a good level. Yeah, certainly. 20 years, plenty good. Yep, certainly. That's why I say to you guys, there's a lot to take in, and like I say, learn from the mistakes. Learn from our mistakes. I made so many mistakes. I don't even want to go there. So what I try and this is why I got this YouTube channel in the first place, is because I saw these guys promoting to people how easy it is. And I thought, it wasn't an easy journey. Let me just tell you guys what it's really all about. Let me get it out there to you. And I think it's working. I think it's getting out there. Yeah, that's all the sellers getting back in. And you see the recovery. The sellers are getting back in. Yeah, so I just hope they change a bit so they aren't simply using me. Yeah, sometimes you'll feel like the people are using you, but just go with it. Just go with it. Yeah, there's a lot of look at the buyers getting back in here. That's insane. Look at the BTH. That's a bigger one. All the buyers getting back in here on the candle. What's interesting here? I drew this line in earlier on the show. I just drew this line in. Now it broke through that trend support. It broke through it big time, all the way down. And this is why you should wait for the candle to close. Because look at that. All the buyers came back in, and now it's back above the trend support. Now, isn't that interesting? if you were to get now a green candle after this one going up, that means it's going to go flying up. Interesting. So that breakdown, that was a serious breakdown. This is a news event. Guys, I'm not really sure what the news event is. I don't follow crypto that closely. Let's have a look at the news quickly and just see if there's anything on there that makes any sense, that could perhaps give us a bit of insight as to what might be going on. But let me just see here. I'm going to reload this quickly, so be a little bit patient here. And let's just see what it says. Producer prices surge, nothing there. America, stock futures take a hit. Busiest port in the US. Nvidia, Lilly, Oracle, earnings. There's not much here. Jobless claims fall. Gold steadies. Yeah, I'm not seeing much that would affect me with regards to crypto. So yeah, no, I don't know, guys. I haven't followed the crypto, like I say, so. But interesting, yeah, that's quite a move. That's a really big move. Anybody know anything about the crypto? Yeah, well, the high PPI will increase the US dollar, but I don't think, because if it wouldn't affect the crypto like this, because I'm just looking at the whole scenario here, and there has been some effect on the United States dollar, South African rand, but not a lot. Nothing to really write home about. Say, ooh, big move like the crypto. Because I would have thought that you would have got some kind of a big move here. But it looks like this is turning around. Just by the way, if you look at this is turning around, and Brent will also turn around. It looks like this is going in our favor now. And yeah, so there might be some effect there. The PPI might be having some effect on these trades, because the Brent crude oil is affected as well. Look at that. It's turning around and moving. So yeah, there might be some movement there, which will go in my favor. US 500 S&P. There was a big drop on the S&P. So if you look at that, oh, look at the S&P. Look at that. You see that? It broke through that prior high, went up, and we thought, no, that's good. It's come down, broken through the level, just like BTC broke through the level, and all the buyers have got back in. Big tail, same tail. Interesting that. Look at that tail. Okay, very similar to the BTC. Look at this. Very similar. Look at that. Just a slightly longer candle, but look at that. Same sort of move. So US dollar could be playing the part here. Yeah, you're quite right there. US dollar could be playing a big part here. Okay. Makes more sense to me now. Because like I say, I didn't quite see what was going on there. The Rand trade after the PPI report is starting to turn in our favor. It's going up, but there is some sellers coming back in here. But yeah, it looks like it wants to go in that general direction now, so we might get a bit of a move to the upside again. It hasn't done enough, but yeah, it's obviously more to do with the dollar than the rand. But I think it will go in our favor now, because that PPI report will start to set in, and then things will start to take effect, and I think it'll start to move. I mean, if you just have to look at the technicals, it's bouncing off that support, moving to the upside. It's breaking that trend resistance, moving to the upside, counter trade, another green candle, and I think we got it, and it's going. That's great. So that trade will go in our favor most likely, and then Brent crude oil will probably also move in our favor. Just remains to be seen what will happen with the S&P 500. I was trading stock with leverage on CoreWeave. It went great. It got stopped out, made a little profit, but a little annoyed when it went up 6% on the same day, but the next day it dropped massive 20%. Then I realized how important your stop loss is, and you should never move it further away at all costs. Well, that is such an important thing to think about. And one of the things you mentioned there is you were so annoyed when it went back up 6% on the same day. And you know what most people will do on that day when it's moving back up 6% on that same day? They'll get back into the trade because they'll believe that that was just an anomaly, and they'll get back into the trade. Now, the problem is it's not a new trade anymore. It's a, how can I put this? You're still working on the old trade, and what you're doing is you are revenge trading, and you do not want to be revenge trading. So keep that in mind. Don't revenge trade. And then the next day, you would have learned your lesson. The next day drops a massive 20%. So that, you would have got back in on that 6%, thinking, okay, I'm back in. Next day, 20% down. You lose double what you started with. Never move your stop loss away. When you choose your stop loss in an invalidation area. That invalidation area is super, super important, because when the trade gets there, we all understand that the trade's invalid. Don't get involved in it again. The essay and trade of yours will go into your favor now that I've paid my year's bills. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for paying your bills. That trade will work out, because I actually do have that trade on my real money account as well, not just on this funded account. So I've got quite a big trade on the United States dollar, South African rand. So that does have to work out. And one of the reasons it's here in its small way is so that I can see what it's doing while I'm watching this and not that. Because that's one of those trades that I actually need to watch. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, it is a very valuable lesson to learn. Remember, you never lose in trading. You only pay the price of the lessons you are learning. It's taxes. It's called paying taxes. You always pay school fees. You pay those school fees in any business. There's always a bit of school fees. Guys, I just need to check this and see what this is. Fine. Okay, cool. No important. Yeah, so Brent crude oil as well. I do have that on other accounts as well, but there's a reason I've got those two trades on the big accounts, and it's because fundamentally I've got a belief in them. But then I'm making the age-old mistake of getting married to those trades. Okay, I know it, but I still do it because it's fundamentally in my brain says it must work. So that's 50-50. The market's 50-50. You take your chances, you follow what you believe, and if you follow what you believe, you'll get it. You'll get there. So I've got the belief that that will do well, and S&P 500 as well. I'm long on those accounts, and because I believe in it. Now, when I see it doing this, I'm like, ooh, but I am long, but it's long term, so it's okay. It's not a problem, but yeah. I'm expecting it to go, as I said, I've called it for 6,600, so I'm expecting that. Okay. Remember, you never lose. Yeah, indeed, it was positive because not losing any money in that trade. It's always a win when you protect your trade balance. You see, the biggest thing you got to do, and this is something I try to promote to you guys all the time, is that trading's 50-50 no matter what. So the most important thing is to stay in the game and to protect your capital at all costs. Now, there are those of us that might have more capital than we need. So if you open a trading account, you've only opened a trading account with a small portion of your capital, and if you lose it, you're still okay. But there are those of us that have got absolutely everything that we earn tied up in the trading. You've got absolutely your last cents tied up in it. And if you lose that account, then you could be in a serious amount of trouble. So I will say, what's your plan B? and can you afford to lose that money? It's really difficult. One of the old things they used to tell us in the old days, one of the big things they used to tell us in the old days was, whatever you do, don't borrow money to trade. That was a big thing. The old people always used to tell me, Rob, don't go and borrow money to trade. Use your own money. Because if you borrow money to trade, then you might lose it and you'll have to pay it back. Then they come out with leverage trading, which is effectively borrowing money to trade. Doesn't make sense, does it? But yes, that is covered with cover with the leverage. So you're not really in big trouble there. But that is the same as using your last amount of money to trade with, using your last cents to trade with. Now, one of the big problems was with trading, especially back in the 80s and 90s, is credit cards were all the thing. So people were getting credit cards for nothing. They weren't even really checking up on people as to how much money they had or anything. Here's a credit card with 50,000 credit on it. You're like, oh, look at that. Off we go. Shoes, jackets, clothes, cars, whatever. So people were just spending that credit, and then they ended up in big trouble, and there was a whole lot of education about using that money. But the problem was you had a credit card with, say, 20,000, 50,000, 30,000 available in credit on it that you could just trade with. You could just take that money and put it in the market and start trading. And if you lost it, you were in big trouble. These were big problems that we had in the past, which is why they used to always say to you, don't borrow money to trade. Whatever you do, don't borrow money to trade. So yeah, well, I'll change that saying slightly and say, don't use your last cents. Make sure you've got cover. Make sure you've got a backup plan. Make sure you can survive. Because you won't win every time. In fact, there's a lot of times you're going to lose. Yeah, well, I like Daniel's stance on, effectively we're not traders, we're risk managers. And that's a good point. That's a good point. Because a lot of these big institutions, these financial institutions, effectively have departments that just cover risk. That's all they do. They just cover risk. All they do is they look after risk and risk alone. That's the most important aspect of the business. Interesting. But yeah, that is a very good point. That is a very good point to look at. Oh, Bitcoin's on its way down again. Look at that. There she goes. There she goes. So Shane, have you still got your ETH? Because I'm pretty sure that's going to be doing it as well. Oh, why does it always do that? Give me that. Yep, there you go. So your ETH is going to be making you some money here. Look at that. She's going down like a beaut. Did you trade that on the 5 minute, Shane? Shane actually said SPY 6600, but 6593.92 is pretty close enough. I just use round figures. Remember, guys, while that is a very relevant figure, 6593.92, and it is important to get the figures right, that human beings like round numbers. Okay, so the reason I'll call a round number like 6600 is because the psychology of a human being is to target 6600 as a number. So they'll probably target the 6600 rather than the 6593. So while the actual technical will give you that exact figure, the human being will target the 6600. It might not get there. It might not get as close as we want it to. How's it, Coral? Good to see you again. But 5 minute. Okay, so that's quite cool. But that's a good trade, eh? That's a really good trade. It's probably going to get down here to the support. Well, what was resistance and is now support. It's probably going to come all the way back to this level here, which is quite nice. That'll be quite a nice trade for you. BTC, probably, I don't know. Let me just see if there's any levels in between here. There is a level here at 115. I remember that level. I remember the other day we were looking at it, 115. There was a level here. and I see there is, yeah. And there's a demand of money here. It's 115 is a level. and then the next one's 110 again. But interesting to see what it does. Interesting to see what it does. I'm also interested to see what the ETH does on crypto. See where it goes. That's very, very interesting. Okay. Euro, Great British Pound. What is happening with the Euro, Great British Pound? It's breaking down. But there's a lot of buyers getting back in. There's some heavy tails there. But that one's made the money, so we'll get back into that when we get a chance. That looks great. What we want to see is if these two positions can come back to life and start making us some money, that'll be great. Okay. There we go. And you'll notice that we started the show that my Brent crude oil was heavy in drawdown and my United States dollar is heavy in drawdown. And by the end of the show, they might even be in the green the way they're going. Okay. 4%. That's hectic, Shane. That's good money, man. That's good money. That's a good run on that. But yeah, I must say, ETH, I'm starting to like these crypto things. Bitcoin's made me money this year. Now ETH has made me money this year. Now Shane's making money out of ETH. Wow, maybe we should just trade crypto, guys. Gee whiz. That's some serious money here. It's been good. Yeah. Okay. Nice trade there. Yeah. That's an excellent trade. I like it. That's good. It's going more. It's going to make you more. Look at this baby. She's going, eh? Stick it out. Stick it out. Maybe put a trailing stop behind it and run it. It's running nicely. Looking very nice. I like it. There you go, Shane. There you go. Big money there. Big money there. There she goes. Cruising down. There, that's lovely, eh? That's lovely. That's a biggie. Geez, I hope I sold it on the other... Yeah, I did. I did sell it on the other account. Maybe I should just check. I definitely sold it. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. I made the money. Imagine, yeah, gee whiz. Yeah, Bruman will be so proud. But I don't like the crypto thing. I just like the trading. The trading of it is good. They are nice and volatile, and they do give you some nice trades. But actual investing, nah, I'm not into that. He won't be proud of me on that front. But on the actual trades, I'm loving it. It's like every single crypto trade that I've taken this year, and I've taken a few, has made me money. So I can't complain about that. It's been quite predictable in its own little way. So I'm not unhappy about that. That's been good. Whereas Forex trades have let me down. I must say it'll probably come back and bite me because it always does. But yeah, that I gotta say, every single crypto trade I took this year has been good. So I'm not gonna complain. They've worked out quite well. Nice thing about them though as well is they're open on the weekends, which is also great. You know, you can run them into the weekends. You don't have to go, oh, it's Friday afternoon. Maybe I should sell it. You can actually hold on to it. You know, so it's actually great because if it goes pear shaped, you can still get stopped out and cover your losses. Henny, see you later. Thanks for joining us. Henny, if you need anything, let us know. Don't forget, Henny, you can always email me as well if you have a question. My email is on the channel. And if you want to drop a comment, I'll try and answer it there as well and see what I can do for you. If I can't answer it on a comment and it's too long-winded and whatnot, I'll try and get back to you on the live shows. Have a good one. Thanks for joining us. Crypto's like sports car, fun to drive, but don't like owning it. Exactly that, Nick. It's totally that. What a good way to explain it. It's like a sports car. It's fun to trade, but I don't want to own it, eh? Absolutely, totally. Yeah, Daniel, don't be scared of crypto. It's just like everything else, eh? Just like everything else. Nothing's predictable in the market. Nothing. You cannot. Charts cannot predict the future. Charts cannot predict the market. They can't tell you what's going to happen next. Neither can I. Neither can human beings. Nobody can. Nobody can tell you what's going to happen next, except those insider traders, whatever you call them, those guys, they can probably tell you something, but not us. So whether it's crypto, whether it's Forex, you see, what you've got to get over in the psychology of things is when I used to trade shares, I was very anxious about moving over to indexes because I thought, oh, that's a bit volatile. I'm a bit scared of that. That's ooh, I'm going to burn my fingers there. But then I eventually sort of transitioned over to using indexes, and I started trading indexes. And I traded indexes for a while, and I thought, wow, that's not too bad. Kind of got the feel for it and used the strategy, and it was okay. And then I was like, oh, Forex, a bit scared of Forex. Ooh, Forex is, I'm going to burn my fingers on Forex. And then I eventually got into Forex as well. And I was like, it's not much different to indexes, is it? Pretty much the same commodities, whatever. That's why I'm not afraid of crypto. It's the same thing. Everybody looks at it and thinks, oh, it's going to bite you. Look at it, guys. It's a chart. It's a chart just like all the others. It goes up, it goes along, it goes up, it comes down. It does exactly what everything else does. It's got all the same amount of information in it. Nothing unusual. I'm pretty sure if you try trading it on the 5 minutes, it might be a bit more difficult because it might move a little bit faster. But that's not a big deal. What it means is there's a lot of liquidity in it. There's a lot of money in it. And the liquidity is good. The liquidity is only going to make you money. And the good thing about liquidity, to understand, is if I want to sell it, I can sell it in an instant. I don't have to worry about it. Like, for example, trading palladium is horrific because if you want to sell a large position, sometimes you can't sell it. I found myself struggling to sell palladium when I had it. It was insane. I had a large position and I was trying to sell it and I couldn't get it sold for the price that I wanted. It kept jumping to the next level, and it starts becoming expensive when it does that, when there's not enough liquidity to sell your product. Now, just remember, trading something like palladium on a cash account is very different to trading it on maybe a funded account or something like that, which is a market that's made up. The real accounts have real liquidity, so you have to get the liquidity to sell your product. And so I don't think palladium's even available on funded accounts. I don't know. But that was obviously cash accounts, copper, palladium, things like that. Trying to sell large positions becomes difficult. And I do have some very large positions in cash accounts because it's leveraged as well. And you can pick up some quite serious purchases. So that's why I tend to, especially on the commodities and that, I tend to stick to things like gold and that sort of thing, and not get too involved in that type of stuff. So hang on a sec. Sorry about that. I had to just stop someone calling me there. Okay, there you go. I keep getting calls and people trying to, I don't know why. It's kind of insane, actually. Okay. Right. Can you refresh your trading view? Yours seems to be different to mine. Oh, yeah. You know what? Let me just see here. Positions. Let's just go back here. And let's just have a look here. Just see what it's got. It should be. Is this different to yours there, Shane? Is this picture different? Just let me know on that one. If that picture is completely different, because that would be quite interesting to see. I see it's going back up again over here, starting to move back up. This is ETH US dollar, by the way. You do get ETH other things as well, so I don't know what yours looks like. Or maybe you're just on a different broker or something. Yeah, it serves a purpose. I don't think crypto is going to go anywhere tomorrow. So I do believe that it's fine. It serves a purpose. Crypto serves its purpose. I'm not a firm believer in crypto, but it serves its purpose. And like I say, just look at it as it's the same as trading anything else. It's not different to trading anything else. Just trade it the same old way, and it'll follow the same old patterns. And the reason it'll follow the same old patterns as everything else is simply because human beings are behind it at the end of the day, just like everything else. Human beings are behind these trades, not algos and robots and what everybody tells you. Human beings are doing the trades, and that's why it will do the same as everything else. It won't do something different. And by the same token, it might just move a little bit faster because there's a lot more money involved in it. Maybe maybe it's a very popular thing at the moment. A lot of people have moved away from Forex and they started trading crypto. And there's also an insane amount of new people that are trading crypto. So, keep that in mind as well. People that got involved in crypto that are buying and selling it and on a regular basis, and they get crypto in their wallets and then they sell it, and it affects this. There's so much crypto going around at the moment that it is going to affect markets in one way or another. And everybody likes to think they're a trader, even though they're not. Everybody likes to think they're a trader. So let me check the email. Let's just see. Since I got an email, Shane sent me an email. We're going to have a wee look at it quickly. See what we got. New market. Yeah. Get that open. And look at what the shot looks like. And yeah, it's pretty much the same, 4, 5, 7, 1, 4, 5. Yeah, pretty much the same. Ethereum, US dollar. Okay, you're on Blackpool markets here. Okay. And yeah, that chart looks pretty much the same. I see you using 1, 2, 3, 4 moving averages there. You're obviously looking at the narrowing of the opening of the indicators. That's another system. Yeah. Okay. What do you call that system again? I can't even remember. Where all the indicators, moving averages come together and then they split apart. Interesting one. But yeah, that's yeah, makes sense. Okay. Okay, that's pretty good. Just check here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Interesting. Right. Let's see what we got here. Alt enter. Okay. Let's see how the United States dollar South African rand is going. And there she goes. She's starting to go up. That's definitely decent. You reckon the candles are different? Let me just check those candles quickly. Might be slightly different. It might be on a different sort of time movement based on different broker. These brokers sometimes have slightly different time movements, which is why I always tell you guys the markets are 50-50, because you're looking at a chart and you're charting it and you're drawing a line in the sand, and every broker's got a different movement on the candle or the market or whatever the case. So yeah, that's moving at a different pace or whatever, or in a different time zone or something to that effect. Everybody thinks you're getting something perfect, but you're not. But Ethereum in general, it's going down, it's moving to the downside, and we'll work according to that. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, wait the US market and then the EU close, and then we shall see what happens. Yeah, Shane, it's generally the case. I find, especially now with a lot of these funded markets and whatnot, getting a lot of differences in the markets, because the markets are made by these brokers, and then you've got regulated markets, unregulated markets, all these different things coming up. And it's causing issues in the market. Not all the charts are the same. There's a few differences, slight, but they're there. They're there. So yeah, that's always going to be a headache. Always going to be a headache. So Brent crude oil is moving up nicely. The United States dollar South African rand isn't. Brent crude oil is doing quite well. That's doing quite nicely. That's actually giving a nice green candle to the upside. So we're going to get a nice move out of that. How many of you guys actually trade shares? And I'm not talking about investing. I mean actual trading. How many of you actually trade in shares themselves? Because that can be an easy way to enter the market as well. For guys that are not too into the speed of Forex and crypto and that sort of thing. Shares are a good way to look at the markets, and also shares are more predictable and also easier to calculate the size of your trade. How many shares do you want to own in a company and how much they cost you? A share costs $500. You know, it costs one share costs $500. Two are going to cost you $1,000. Four are going to cost you $2,000. You just know this. It's so much easier to work out. So shares are a good thing to start trading on if you want to trade as well. Nothing wrong with trading on shares. And then also, even if you're trading on CFD or futures or whatever, if you buy a share and you want to trade it and whatnot, if you happen to buy it in the dividend time, you will get paid the dividend as well. Just be careful if you go short though on a share in the dividend time, because then you will have to pay the dividend. Just by the way, in case you didn't know that. I did, but now I have found instruments with leverage with the stock as the underlying asset. I trade those now. Okay, I tried twice but got burnt. My broker. Interesting, you got burnt with shares. Oh, brokerage fees. Okay. Yeah, you got to make sure you got good brokerage fees, obviously, because also when you do trade most shares, you are going to pay fees. Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, that way I can avoid the commission fees. Yeah, you do have to take into account when you're trading shares, you do have to pay fees. Yeah, that is true. Absolutely. But it's a good way for a lot of people to get entry into the market. A lot of people, struggle with Forex and crypto and that and indexes. And if you get into the market, it's an interesting way to learn. But unfortunately, you do have to take into account your costs, which you get in normal trading as well. By the way, you don't get trades for free. You do pay for them. It's just a lot cheaper to trade Forex. Okay. IG is expensive. IG's at the moment, everyone's complaining that IG's like one of the most expensive ones. Interesting that, eh? Everyone's complaining that IG's so expensive. I still got an account there, but I don't use it so much. But the best one in South Africa, I like the GT account. They're very good, and they've always given me a good fee, so it doesn't cost me much. There's a lot of brokers out there that are not that expensive, eh? But IG's offers a lot as well, so that's probably why they're so expensive. And they're well regulated as well, so that also makes them expensive, I'm sure. It makes you pay when they're so regulated. They make you pay more. Gotta love that, eh? You gotta love that. Euro, Great British Pound, Euro, Great British Pound. Are you going to go anywhere? Are you going to do anything? Or are you just going to lie around here and do nothing? Looks like it. And there's a whole bunch of tails at the bottom here. So we're not going to get anything out of the Euro, Great British Pound. The other one I'm worried about is gold. Why is gold just lying around here doing nothing when the markets are moving around so much? I mean, this is also pegged against the US dollar. And now yesterday I said we can call gold short if it breaks through this support level, but there was a whole bunch of buyers getting back into the market, right? All these tails, so many tails at the bottom of the candles. So I said, if it breaks below this red line and gives us a nice red candle to the downside, this is going to be a nice short trade, because this should resolve to the downside. There's a long run down, a bit of a pennant, and then a run down. This morning I was kind of surprised to see it up and trying to break to the upside, but I did say if it breaks to the upside and we get a strong green candle up, probably going to go long. But it didn't. You actually got the sellers coming back in at the top side here. Now it's broken back through the trend support. It's breaking out of this level, breaking down, but it's still holding strong above the main support. So what we need from gold is for that to break through this level. There must be an insane amount of money here that's holding this trade up. In other words, 33.50, there must be a round number there. Must be a lot of money being left here in orders that are holding this up, because all of the buyers keep coming back in at exactly that level. Once it breaks through this level, I think it's going to fall hard. So keep an eye on gold. Gold is one to keep an eye on. It is very, very interesting. Brent crude oil does seem to be on the move. It seems to be bouncing off the support now and moving back up. It did break through the support, but now it's coming back up, going through and starting to go back up to the upside. I think our South African rand is going to do the same. I think it's breaking up, and it looks like it wants to go up. So that doesn't look too bad at all as well. Interesting, United States dollar, Canadian dollar, all the way back up to the trend resistance. Looks like, look, there was double tops here. Looks like it's going to break through that double top, past the prior highs, it's a triple top. So it's going to break past that, break to the upside. Look at the candle breaking through here, breaking to the upside. That tells me that there's a very, very good chance that the United States dollar, Canadian dollar is going to fly to the upside, probably reaching somewhere up here. This is looking interesting. Looks like you're going to get a very strong run, very strong bullish run, probably back up to 140s. Looking strong. Let's see if it breaks clean, gives us a closed candle, because as you can see, there's some sellers coming back into the market. The head is still below the level, but yeah, looks like it wants to break to the upside as well. So keep an eye on that as well. A lot going into the market, probably all to do with the PPI again. You know, the trouble with news, it's such short-term news. Will it hold? Will it keep people thinking along those lines? If it's big enough, yeah. Gold has confounded me on the higher time frames, but on the lower, I've been shorting all day. Well, like I say, I'm seeing it resolving to the downside. I'm seeing gold going to the downside. So I do believe that it in all likelihood, it is going to go to the downside. It's a 5 minute. 5 minute looks pretty flat as well. Let's have a look at 15 minute, just out of interest. What do we get on the 15 minute? Pretty down, bearish. So on the lower time frames, bearish. Let's have a look on the day chart. Day chart, bearish. Weekly chart on gold. There you go, weekly chart on gold. Well, it's not coming up yet, taking its time. Weekly chart on gold, very bearish. So, like I said, I've been bearish since the beginning. I've been saying to you guys, I'm just waiting for it to break through that level and give me the signal that it's going to go. And I think it will eventually break down. Quick break for a coffee. I'm short on gold with 3314-ish as the first target. 3314. 3314 down here. I would say that the target is more towards the 33 or 32.90. It's a little bit lower. It looks like it's a little bit lower, I would say, to be fair. Okay, so yeah, I'm picking up a bit of flack here with the. I just want to see what's going on here. Yeah, I thought so. There she goes. She just failed. Okay. Let's try and get it back. It shouldn't be running out of memory, not this computer anyway. I don't know why it did that. This computer's a monster. There's no way this thing should be running out of memory. It's kind of weird. There, it's back again. Okay, I don't know what went wrong there. Maybe it's something on their side. Probably. Maybe their server's packing up or something. That could be. Everybody's diving in to quickly sell all their stuff because they're getting nailed, getting clobbered. Maybe they all owned crypto, and the crypto is clobbering them because it's going short. I'm short on gold with 30 in that first target. Take profit. Yeah, just if you have a take profit, then yeah, I would look. What I would do, I'd have my take profit much further down if you put it in place, and you know, when it gets down to the level that you think or you first thought, like the 33.14, whatever, then take your stop loss and trail it behind it. You know, trail it back at a little bit higher, just trail it behind it down and just see how she goes. But I'm prepared to take the short when it goes below this line at around 33.35, okay, if it's a clear break, with a target down here, 32.70, somewhere there. Probably go all the way down. It might reach this 32.88, but and stop there. But I'm thinking maybe it'll go all the way, come all the way down to the lower levels. Give us a better run. Gold, yeah, I'm looking at the short on gold. I'm thinking gold's going to go short more than anything else. And of course, the S&P. Oh, what's happening now? Come on. Make your move. Right, put your hand out and show us what you're going to do. Do something. Go up or go down. It's time. Time for you to move. Yeah. 33.40 is a bit of a resistance, yeah. And I think it is too, yeah. Looks like the S&P is initially moving to the upside. A little bit of an upward swing, and then it'll probably turn and come flying down. Let's just see what it does. See which way it decides to go. Which way it wants to move. Be interesting to see quickly what it does. Yeah, that initial movement up, and then down she comes. There she comes. She's coming down. Falling down a bit. Time is right. There we go. Let's see. Very interesting to see what's going to happen to this S&P right now. Is it going to push down, or is it going to hold and it's going to break through that support? There she goes. The initial move up, now it's breaking through that support. That's going to break. What are you doing? Okay. Interesting. Huh. Yeah, might be some pressure on the markets this afternoon. Looks like it might just be a little bit rough. Okay, let's just have a quick look at what the crypto is doing. Out of interest as well. Okay, that one seems to be sticking around at the 45.50 at the moment. And gold hasn't broken yet. Huh. It's just very interesting to see what these things do at the open. Always, always, always. Bit of movement, 6444 coming down. It's really struggling to break through this level now. It's holding on, eh? Really holding on to that level. Quite good. What do you see? 3340. Boom, 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 boom. Now 3340 is the level that I'm waiting for it to break below on the gold. Breaks below that level, we've got a red candle. Phew, down she goes. It's a support, not a resistance there, Dan. Bit of a ruffled feather. There has to be some movement because, I mean, people are excited. So excitement breeds some movement, usually, some volatility. A little bit of everyone running away, jumping around in the markets and whatnot. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay. Yep, does appear to be moving to the downside. It's going nowhere. It's just standing there, just holding on to that support, not doing anything. Oh, crazy stuff. But if you just trade the three ways, and I always tell you guys to trade with the trend, counter trade the trend, and trade in a range. Can't go wrong. Even if you trade crypto, you'll be fine. Stay with that. You'll be all right. That always works. No, it's just a reminder. You know, it doesn't matter. Terminology in the market so doesn't matter. I mean, I see guys go on courses and then they come back and all they know is the abbreviations and the terminology of the market. They even know who started the stock market. And it's so important to them to know all this knowledge, probably so that they can look good, you know, in front of other traders and say, look, I know what I'm doing. But it's the most unimportant thing you're ever going to learn is the terminology in the market, actually. You just need to know that one's at the bottom, that one's at the top. It's going up, it's going down. You know, terminology is meaningless. As long as you can see the picture, that's all that matters. And I shouldn't even, you know, I only like will correct you guys based on the fact that you need to know. But believe me, it's meaningless whether you call it resistance or support. I still mix up supply and demand, you know, like I'll call a demand area, supply area, and so on. And it doesn't matter. It's an area where there's money. That's all you need to know. That's all that matters. Does it really matter what it's called? Nah, not really. Don't worry about it. Not important. And abbreviations, phew. Like I've said to you guys before, I got a friend who's a pilot and he speaks in abbreviations. He drives me insane. Like, please just speak to me in English, man. Yeah, no, totally. I see it pulling back towards levels. Yeah, it's all about the perspective. It's important. Okay, so the S&P is trying to climb its way back up again. You see here, all the buyers coming back in, so it's really holding well on that level. Maybe the information in the market is not strong enough to hurt the S&P as we stand at the moment. So that's quite interesting, to be perfectly fair. So guys, I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to call it now, and I'm going to go off and relax and just probably do nothing for the rest of the afternoon. Those two trades I'm just going to leave in place. I'm not going to move them. Not going to do anything with them. They should be fine. I would keep an eye on the gold trade, perhaps. See if I can get a trade there. And the S&P, I don't think I'm going to buy any more of that today or do anything with that. I think I'll just leave that. So yeah, guys, I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to be on my way. And I'm going to go and do my thing. Guys, I want to thank you for being here today. It's been absolutely fun. It's been great. Always good. It's always good to have you guys on board. It's always good to have you guys here. Trump didn't talk, so back to normal. Guys, keep your feet on the ground, reach for the sky. I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to come back and join us next week for the other live shows. As I say, got any questions, drop us an email, drop us a comment. I'll see what I can do. If I can't answer it in a comment, I'll try and answer it in a video. But you're always welcome to come on the live shows, ask the questions, speak about it, chat to each other, and we can always get the answers. Guys, thanks. Cheers, ciao, have a fun day and have a fun weekend, because I probably won't see you before the weekend, besides the video that's coming out tomorrow.